3 minutes till showtime. Y'all tune in. It's going to be a good one. What's going on, Kenneth? I see you. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to yet another Fireside Chat. I'm your host, Pedro Maciel. We are here coming to you across all the platforms that we normally come to you at. Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch. Didn't do the Periscope because Periscope's going away in a couple of weeks, so don't want to waste the bandwidth over there. Coming to you live from the radio station, the X Factor Safety is coming to you from safetyfm.com, safetyfm.live, and the Safety FM app. Already see some people in the chat. How are y'all doing this evening, morning, afternoon, depending on where you want catching this, depending on what side of the world you're on. So definitely looking forward to jumping into what we got to talk about today. And that's some of the safety debunking of myths, the safety myths in the construction industry more than anything else. I just thought it would be a nice, fun topic to kind of segue into, after having a nice topic, and discussion this morning about some of the myths that come about from a podcasting standpoint, live streaming standpoint. So I figured, you know what, on our Fireside Chat, why not find some myths that we're going to be able to debunk or that have been debunked already. So if you have some that you've come across in your career, in your path, even if it's not having to deal with safety, just something in your job that might be, beneficial for people to know, it's definitely something that we like to do. So first and foremost, I just want to thank everybody that continues to show support and is here watching us engaging in the chat. Those that are over on LinkedIn, people over on the Facebook. Shout out Roman. What's going on, brother? Good to see you. Let me hit some of these comments up so that way everybody knows what's going on. Mr. Kenneth said, Pedro, the man with the world's scrumptiously, deliciously, edibly tasty, good sounding radio voice ever. Greatly appreciate that, Mr. Kenneth. My man Shane, what's up, everyone? Good evening. How are you? Yeah, Mr. Kenneth, you can hear me. Pre-game, again, beforehand, I can unmute my mic and be able to talk to you a little bit beforehand. So definitely looking into jumping to some of these myths. So it's definitely good to see everybody. Let me see. Kenneth sounds good. I'm a scrub from the field. Good to see everybody. Oh my goodness. Josh Becker said, myth, you need certification to succeed and have a seat at the table. That is true. That is one of those myths, that you have to have a certification to succeed and have a seat at the table. It's crazy. You know, the biggest thing that with that is, you know, experience. Yes, the certification is great. You use the certification in order to see what's going on. You use the certification to, you know, rise up. You continue the education, but not having a certification doesn't mean you won't have a seat at the table. That's a great one, Josh. Greatly appreciate that one. So number one for me, that one that I found, and I was looking at, you know, some of these, and it's about 12 or 13 that come strictly for the construction field, is safety is achievable. You know, again, safety is achievable, that it's acceptable to one person and not another, meaning, you know, it's kind of trivial. It makes it to where it's, you know, if somebody believes that they're not good enough at safety, that they cannot achieve safety. So that is not the case. Safety itself is not achievable, and it has nothing to do with any kind of bad occurrence that might happen on a job site, any kind of bad occurrence that might end up being, you know, incidents and accidents and everything that might end up seeing what's going on. So number one, safety is achievable. It is, but you have to have a clear path. You have to understand what safety is. And safety is not a person. It's not a thing. It is something that everybody must understand. It is a core value in my eyes. And those that are in the chat, please let me know. You know, I'd greatly like to hear what you have to say. Number two, safety is a thing or an activity. That is not true. Safety is not a thing or an activity. It is not. I tell you that. Kenneth says safety is mandatory, not an option. No. No. In some instances, it is. It's an option. It is your option to adhere to the safety practices and the safety rules that we have in place. But if you don't, guess what could possibly happen? What could possibly happen is you get hurt. Got some people messaging me over here on the Instagram. My man Tanner saying it's the wrong logo. Oh, love him. Shane said, Oliver, myth. I have a perfect safety record. What does that even mean? Coming from a safety pro, manager, worker, or whoever. That is true. I have a perfect safety record. You know, the perfect safety record sometimes does not exist. You know, the perfect safety record sometimes isn't a record. And when you say record, what you're really measuring is the faults that possibly have happened, your shortcomings, which is where you get that data, right? Again, and this goes back to, behavioral analysis and checking out what people are doing good, how they're striving, where they're doing really strong at, but your data that you're using and those metrics that you're basing those KPIs at are on the negative. How many incidents you've had, how many first aids you've had, how many, recordables have we had, how many days, lost time. All of those things are the stuff of and the record of how we get our stuff. So a perfect safety record. Did you have any incidents all year? Okay, I give you that one. But again, how many near misses? How many people had first aids that didn't count as your recordable, which you're not counting on that perfect safety record? So that's a good one, Shane. I definitely like that one. Shane said fudged numbers and data. Yeah. Kenneth said Shane, all lies. And again, sometimes industries go off of numbers, right? Your TRIR number, going off of what you've done overall throughout the year, and you're looking at these numbers in, oh man, we had a 0.05 incident rate, meaning however many number of people that you had, only 0.5% ended up getting hurt. And I'm again, these are fictitious numbers and statistics, but you kind of get what you're saying. And then, okay, so you fudge the numbers so that way you have a lower TRIR, you have a lower incident rate, your EMR over a 3-year span goes down, and you stay below that threshold that you need to be. So it's definitely one of those things that is one of those things that, yeah, safety numbers, don't fudge them. Again, having that safety record, that perfect safety record. This is my favorite one that I have seen personally. Safety is best dealt with separately, okay, as its own function. You cannot I don't see a fire. Does this make a mic side chat? Nice one. Nice one, Jennifer. That's funny. Again, safety is dealt with separately or as its own entity, its own function. It does not benefit any company to put safety as its own function. And the reason why I say that is because it severs that communication. It severs those ties to the upper management, to the C-suite, to be able to have that upward communication. If safety is going to get blamed for every incident, safety is going to get blamed for every bad thing that ends up happening. And then guess what? Your project management and your upper level management, when stuff goes right, oh yeah, we have this perfect safety record. Oh yes, we have no incidents, and but if you use it as safety as a crutch to get you out of some bad shit when shit happens, and pardon my language, but you're going about it the wrong way. It has to be unified. That team at all levels, mid-level management, if you have a safety coordinator, they got to get and be able to talk to the frontline supervisors as well as the safety director, as well as the CEO, because you have to have a unified culture. And only saying that safety is by itself, yeah, that's a myth. It does no company any good. Those that are watching right now, it does not do your company any good if you treat safety as its own entity. It has to be encompassed within your core values of your company. It's going to help your culture. It's going to help morale. It's going to help everything that you are striving for. And that's, again, your workforce. Your most valuable assets are your workforce. So with that being said, that myth has been debunked. Let's see, Mr. Brent Carlton, good to see you, sir. Right, absence of accidents does not indicate the presence of safety, just like the fact that I haven't had a heart attack doesn't mean I don't have heart disease. Amen to that. Again, I had a heart attack, so I know exactly what that means. Doesn't mean that I can't get another one, right? Just because it happened once, it could possibly happen again. If it hasn't happened to you, trust me, I am one to tell you it possibly can. So greatly appreciate that. Brent Colton said, can't stand alone. That's why I harp on the myth of safety culture. There is no safety culture, only culture. That is true. That is true. Because once you put the word safety in it, it leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. It gives them a wrong view, especially if they already do not like safety, if they dislike safety rules and practices. So again, the myth of safety culture. I like that, Brent. Greatly appreciate that one. Shane Oliver said myth. Well, you're the safety. Go keep them safe. I can't keep you safe. You have to keep yourself safe. That's a big one. That's a big one. Well, you're the safety guy or you're the safety gal. You go handle it. You go keep them safe. No, we need to get this damn line fixed that we've been talking about that is missing guards and is leaking oil all over the place, causing a slip hazard. You have wires hanging out of it that need to be decommissioned, but we're just leaving them there and they're live wires. We need to take care of all of that shit first before we can say, hey, safety guy, go fix it. No, we need to fix it. We need to get our preventative maintenance crew in there. We need to make sure that we're servicing this equipment, these tools that are most valuable assets. I cannot say it any louder. Most valuable assets, our people, our workforce, are putting their lives at risk. Again, our most valuable asset is our workforce. Any CEO, any manager out there, any C-suite executive, your most valuable asset, it's not you. It's your workforce. It's the people that work with you. The people that are out there, grinding, getting dirty, right? Putting in 12, 13, 14 hours out on a construction site, building the buildings, connecting the structure, right? Those people are your most valuable asset. So if you give them bad tooling, guess what? Something bad's going to happen. If machinery's not kept up, guess what? Shit happens. Pardon my language. Mr. Brent, incident rates predict future performance. That's a good one. That is a good one. That's a big myth because your incident rates do not predict future performance. Not by any means. Shane said, Jennifer Martinez, he definitely has good stuff to share. Have Brent on the show to talk about safety culture myth. Definitely. We'll love to have Mr. Brent on the show. And then he's like, shh, hush, Jennifer. So again, those are some of the things that we come in contact with. Here's another one that is in that, again, CEOs, read up, research. Again, you take it upon your hiring manager, whoever your hiring manager is. Shout out all my HR personnel that are out there, but ask the questions because this myth here, OSHA compliance generates safety. No, it doesn't. It's exactly what that is. OSHA set a standard, right, that you have to comply with, and that's what you have to comply with. Doing those things is the bare minimum, right, to keep your workforce safe. But then you have to go a little above and beyond what those OSHA standards end up saying. And being compliant with OSHA does not generate safety. It does not. Being OSHA compliant is just that. You're OSHA compliant, right? They come in, they start looking at your fire extinguishers, that they're within, 35 feet of any given direction where there's flammables at, right? 10 feet where you actually have an open flame. Making sure the extension cords, and again, the low hanging fruit, all of this stuff is, OSHA compliance on a construction site. The extension cords have a grounding pin. They're going to hit you for that if you don't have a grounding pin. So what do we need to do? Make sure our extension cords have a grounding pin. Hello, Mallory. Glad to see you. Good to see you. Being OSHA compliant does not generate safety. And again, safety directors and insurance company representative can cite insurance statistics showing that OSHA, the BPP programs and the STAR programs, with the average worse than average injury rates and all of this. But again, all of these rules that OSHA has put out there, the citations that they give you for this, and again, if it's not in the OSHA standards, guess what? There's something called the general duty clause. And let me repeat that one more time. If it's not inside the standards, right? Your CFR 1926 for construction, 1910 for general industry. If it's not in that, but guess what? That one general duty clause is in there. You as an employer shall keep your workforce safe. It's a given. That's just what has to happen. Mr. Kenneth Pager, you were so right. Split hairs all over the place. Greatly appreciate it. Josh Becker, myth. What you find on a planned inspection may not be what you find on a random Wednesday. That is true. Again, on a planned inspection, they come in routinely and do a planned inspection, and they might be, looking for a certain thing. They might be checking electrical. And they don't see your fire extinguishers out of date. They don't see that, your eye wash stations are low. They haven't been, serviced or refilled. Your first aid kit has, expired merchandise that's in there. But they find all your electrical cords and your electrical sockets that are out of date, that aren't coded correctly, that are spliced, exposed wiring. And guess what? You will get a citation. And those went up this year. OSHA has raised the fines yet again. Nice. Interesting. And Mr. Kenneth said, Josh, your myths are so damn scrumptiously, deliciously, edibly tasty, good sir. My man Kenneth doing it up with the wordsmith. Another one, safety programs will solve the problems. Another myth. No, they won't. If you generate a safety program in hopes that it's going to solve your problems, you have a bigger problem. I'm just going to let you know that right now. Okay? You can't generate a safety program without first having some core values set, a culture that understands what safety means and what it is and how to use it, right? How to be safe. Again, and that starts with one. That starts with me. That starts with each one of you. But you cannot just say, hey, I made a safety program. This is going to solve all our problems. Bam, here we go. No, that is not the case. It's not. Because now you have to have somebody that's going to, keep track of this program. Somebody that's going to have to go out and, make sure everybody else understands what this program is about. And if you don't have a strong, and I don't want to say safety culture, because I see Mr. Brent is in here, but if you don't have a strong culture, right, that understands and grasps safety, that grasps the betterment of well-being and as a whole, the safety program that you generate is useless. And again, it's some real truth out there. It's some real truth, and I say this so that way the awareness is brought up to people. Hope y'all can hear me. There we go. So that way the awareness is brought up. So that way you understand that it's real. These myths have been around for a while. Some CEOs, some hiring managers, some directors still think, oh, I'm going to generate a safety program and it's going to solve all our problems. No, it's not. I'm sorry. It is not. Shane Oliver says, myth, COVID questionnaire will keep COVID out of the workplace. Honor system doesn't exist in construction except when they want to cover up something. Oh, man. You brought that one out, Shane. Again, the COVID questionnaire. And not saying all construction sites do this. Again, Shane brings this up and this is recent. And again, being the fact that we've been in the business and been in the construction industry, sometimes it's not always so truthful and upcoming, forthcoming with that information. I'm not going to tell you I'm sick. Why? So you can send me home and I'm going to miss out on this money that I have to make for my family because, I have bills to pay. Yeah, I'm just going to say that, no, I'm not sick and keep working and hope that nobody else gets sick around me. Again, that's a bad culture. You're not instilling that I want to come to work. And if I come to work, I might put somebody at risk because, again, you didn't instill it from day one. So that's a good one, Shane. I like that. Shane, you and your myths. That's coming from Mr. Kenneth. Mallory said, what kind of changes do you see across each job field that is affecting the construction industry that needs to be adapted to? There's all kinds of changes. The COVID more than anything, there's the tests that you're issued now can be tested for a wider strand of COVID, and whatever the wider strand is. And again, more people are starting to come up, asymptomatic and positive, which, on a construction site could cripple a construction site. Cause again, you do your contact tracing, and you see who's been around everybody, and you got to make sure, again, if you have a good rapport with your workforce, you have a good culture already set, then you can ask those questions and they're going to be like, yeah, hey, you know what? I am sick. Hey, guess what? I was around, this person and they tested positive. And I'm just talking about, COVID, but things that, that we're seeing across each job field, leadership, the leadership, believe it or not, is changing. A lot of leadership is not up to speed with enhancing the culture, and maybe it's the way that some, they were brought up. Their mentors and their predecessors were teaching them. But again, you have to take the good with the bad and kind of pave your own lane in a sense. But with doing that, you have to involve the workforce. You have to involve upper management, and they have to also, I don't like saying buy in, but they have to acknowledge the changes that need to be done. They have to help and enhance those changes. So that was a good question, Mallory. I would love to hear some of the other people that are in the chat. What changes are you seeing across the job fields that are affecting the construction industry, that needs to be adapted to? And let's see, digital platforms for documentation and record keeping, a good one. Streamline process to complete, send, and access paperwork. No, I completely agree. The getting away of printing out all your documents, holding, binders after binders, and then at the end of a job, you have, 3,700 binders. Now you can just upload it to the cloud. You take stuff off of your phone, off of these things, and you can be like, do, your inspections, and bam, there it goes off to the cloud, and anybody in your organization can see it. Anybody in your organization can gain that, what's going on at that specific site. And that's another myth that I was fixing to come to. And thank you for that, Shane. Auditing and site inspections deliver safety. No, no, they don't. Oh, me auditing your site 4 times a month is not going to make your site safer. What's going to make your site safer is you making sure your site is safe. How? Having good toolbox talks, being seen out on the construction site. Again, that OSHA compliance, the minimum standards, making sure you're doing that, watching out for new hazards that could possibly pop up, lifting, fall protection, your ladder safety, if you're working in confined space, that type of stuff. You have to look for those things. And me coming to your site and doing an audit is, or doing a safety inspection, a site inspection, it's not gonna deliver safety the way it needs to be. What it's going to do, yes, I'm going to find the areas of improvement we need to improve on. I'm going to look for stuff that, again, your stellar worker that's out there that's doing his or her job is focused on that, doing his or her job. They might not see XYZ hazards that are close by. They might not understand why we have to stop and huddle before a critical lift. They just want to get it rigged up and get it up there because, again, they're working hard for their money. But me coming in as at somebody that will do an inspection, again, it's not going to deliver safety. And when I do an inspection, I try to incorporate the workforce so that way they understand what I'm looking for, so that way they can start looking for it even when I'm not there. And see, that's the biggest thing with building that culture, being able to guide people to say, hey, Pedro's not here, but I know he's seen, ABC hazard the last time. So let's go ahead and fix it before he comes out here. And then he won't, he'll give us an attaboy because we got it done. But then they just start doing it on their own. And that's what you want. You have to mentor them. You have to have, those, like Mr. Kenneth said, stellar employees that go out there and shine. And I think everybody's a stellar employee. I don't think anybody's bad. They just haven't been coached. They haven't been trained. I feel electrical documentation will lead to even more tick and flick forms that attempt to manage liability rather than doing the real work of managing risk. That's a good one. That's a good one, Brent. And Mr. Kenneth agrees. Again, just like you have an iPad, I have a notebook, right? An actual hard form. Okay. All you're doing is electronically pencil whipping it while I actually have a pencil whipping it. So if you're pencil whipping it, again, you're not doing anybody any good. You're not doing anything for anybody. So, if you have to manage the risk, then go manage the risk. Go see what needs to be done, what engineering controls we can put in place. How can we get somebody out of a hazardous area? Can we instill some type of guard, some mechanical engineering control that keeps them out of harm's way to eliminate them being there in the first place? Managing those risks. You have to manage the risk, and it's not by filling out a piece of paper. I promise you it's not. Documenting, it does. So that way you can document what needs to happen and how that needs to go up the chain of command, what needs to be done, what are the the best practices and best ways to implement. Yeah, document it. But as far as you coming out on site, and or with your iPad to do your inspection, you're like, oh shit, I got to do another inspection, and you just pencil whip it. Yeah, you're not doing anybody any good. You're not doing yourself any good, because what's going to happen is they're going to see that and they're going to say, for the past 3 or 4 months, guess what? Everything's been green, but we've had like 13 incidents. So what happened? Everything's green. You're saying everything's okay, but you're not telling me the truth. Got to tell the truth. So Shane said, Brent, that is for sure a possibility, but these platforms do all the analytics. Seeing a bunch of zeros raises red flags to me. The analytics will tell the story, then management has to kick in. No, and it's true. And again, that's where that line of communication stems from. And Shane, I'm glad that you put that in there. You know, being able to have that upward communication, being able to say, "Hey, Mr. CEO, I found this, and this. I need you to come check this out because we're gonna have to spend some money. It's gonna affect your bottom line right now, but the ROI with us saving lives is going to be tenfold. So come with me, and that's the definite thing that has to happen. You have to get your management involved. Kenneth said, "Shit, no. I see plenty of not so stellar employees around, baby." That, and that's the biggest thing. You might not see uh stellar employees like yourself, Mr. Kenneth, but once you see those not so stellar employees, guess what? It's now your job and a little of your responsibility to coach and mentor, so that way they can be those stellar employees that you want them to be. So that way that working side by side, that coworker, he's going to be or she's going to be as stellar as you are. Why? Because you're coaching them, you're mentoring them, you're giving them the guidance, the abilities, and the tools to put in their tool belt to be successful right alongside you. So you're right. Sometimes you don't see the stellar employees, that want to buck the system, that try to get away with certain things. But when you've been around the block a couple times, you know when to tell them that it's not gonna fly. You're not gonna do that. Can't do it. Nope. Mr. Brent said, Shane, good point. To what he said. Again, that's where management has to kick in. The analytics. It's it's very crazy. Myth number 8, along with all the other myths that we've talked about this evening. OSHA statistics measure safety performance. And I think Brent had said that earlier. Again, OSHA statistics do not, they measure non safety. They measure all your bad shit that happens from not getting involved in managing those risks. Greatly appreciate you, Mr. Brent. You have a great night, great evening. Good to see you. Thank you for being in the chat. Let's see, Mr. Kenneth. These people will not listen to me. I'm not their boss or mentor. No, but you're a coworker, and again, we have those people. You're not my boss. Yeah, I know I'm not your boss, but I care about you going home to your family and seeing little Susie and Mr. Bobby, right? Little Bobby that's there at home waiting for you, and you tell them that, and I bet they're gonna be like, "Oh man, he's right. I shouldn't be doing that shit." So again, OSHA statistics do not measure safety performance. In fact, they are measuring all the non-safety activities, all the bad crap that happens in a facility on a construction site, right? So OSHA statistics, how many people got hurt, right? What were the most frequently cited? And again, this is where the statistics come from. The most frequently cited activities on a construction site, right? Fall protection, ladders. It's crazy. Lockout, tag out. If they're most frequently cited, guess what? These statistics aren't going to improve your safety performance. The more you do them and keep getting people hurt, the more you're going to be part of the statistic. So when you are able to control that risk, you're able to mitigate those hazards, eliminate them more than anything else, because that's what we want to do. We want to eliminate them. You go and make sure that everything is good. And last one, let's see. Incentive programs produce lasting behavioral changes and improved performance. That's a big nope. I'll say that. That is a big nope. Again, having an incentive program, if it's done the right way with the culture that understands the vision, the mission, the core value could work. But if it's mismanaged, uninformative, you will not have that lasting behavioral change. You're going to have a lot of people that are um, you're going to have a lot of people that are covering up stuff, right? A lot of people that are not reporting, a lot of people that just don't give a shit because, again, they don't want your $25 gift card, or they don't want that new set of gloves that you're fixing to give them because they don't, they don't believe in the program. They don't believe in what you're trying to sell them. So again, a safety incentive program, an incentive program, is not going to change how people react to safety, understand safety. Shane said, I definitely don't want or think an app could replace me, just saying the computer can do math and create graphs faster than I can remember to. No, and that's true. Again, those things are good. Um, the stats just help me prove my point during safety talks. Make it come to life by giving real examples, and that's true. That right there, real life activities, real world instances, all day long. You paint the picture of what could possibly happen. Incentives, oh man, you just messed up our bonus pizza party. Again, you know, yeah, okay, so we get a pizza party every quarter if we don't have any incidents. Okay, you didn't have any incidents, the guys get pizza, but guess what? How many of those unreported incidents did you end up catching? If you're good, you caught all of them, right? Um, but again, the pizza parties. Stop with the pizza parties. The guys are and gals are tired of eating pizza, right? They're tired of having the cookouts for the. And I'm not saying don't give them that, but don't base it off of your numbers that you're tracking, which are sometimes a joke. Uh, Base it off of the wins that they're having out there in the field. Base it off of the effort that's being put. They're ahead of schedule, right? And again, you this is where those lines of production and safety, have to be united. Okay, they're ahead of schedule. Guess what? They're ahead of schedule. They keep pushing, and they haven't had any incidents. Nobody has gotten hurt. The contractors or subcontractors have led the safety talks. Every time I come around, all their documentation is in order. They're staying compliant. They're going above and beyond. Guess what? That right there, my friends, warrants a big cookout, right? Lots of handouts, okay? Shit, let them be safety officer for a day. Let them shadow you, because guess what? You give that one person or a couple of people, the chance to be a safety officer, the chance to go out there and actually see what you're doing. It makes it worthwhile because they're like, oh man, they actually see it for their own, in their own eyes, in their own view of what you actually do, right? They think we're just sitting in the job trailer drinking coffee and eating donuts. We're not doing that. Yes, we sit in the trailer because we got documents that we got to do. We got to get ready for the next toolbox talk. We got to input all those, checklists. Got to upload those. We got to scan. We have certain meetings that we have to attend to with the GC or with the customer. So again, it's one of those things that if you are able to bring them in with you, they buy in more to that core value of them being safe and them keeping others safe. Hey, Tiffany, what's going on? Kenneth said, hey, Miss Swab, debonair, sophisticated, stellar lady. You're late. She said, oh, I see that. Came in at the perfect time. Stop speaking my language, Pedro. Good to see you, Tiffany. Mallory, do you think more companies could benefit from a program like the Buddy program? For instance, an assigned mentor at the data hire that walks you through training and company policies and remains your go-to person for any future questions. I do believe in that, and not only one mentor, right? You won't get issued. You'll have one, and that'll be your one go-to person. But when you are able to, like in a construction site, and you have you work for a company and you have a whole bunch of job sites, your mentor or your person that would be your go-to person will then change a little bit when you get to different job sites. But yes, I totally agree with that. That buddy system and being able to have somebody to train you on the ins and outs of what's going on. And you got to make sure that anybody that becomes one of these mentors is going to be a good mentor, because there is such thing as bad mentors. They teach you all the bad shit on how to get away with certain stuff, pardon my language. But good mentors, somebody that understands the vision, somebody that understands what has to happen, I am totally for it. That's a great one. Josh said, hey, hope you're doing well. To Tiffany, Shane says, Mallory, that's an interesting concept, but there are an awful lot of personalities on a construction site. Kind of tough to pair people off without knowing how they will blend. And that's true. And again, that's where it ends up having to, you end up having to kind of be there on the hiring portion of it. You know, and maybe Tiffany can give some insight, but I think for a construction industry, you're hiring somebody that's going to be out in the field, the project manager, the safety personnel, the area manager, and possibly the AVP or exec should be there. Why? Because those are four people that you're able to go to and use as a resource and support, and use them as a support system. But those are usually the four people that you'll have direct communication with, that you'll end up getting the most feedback from. So in my eyes, those, you put those in place, and guess what? You're able to make sure that there we go. There we go. Having technical difficulties. Oh my goodness. But yeah, no, that's definitely a good one. Said calling me out. Better late than never. I agree. Again, good to see you, Tiffany. Always good to see you. You know, and again, I wanted to make this, fun, and, again, getting everybody engaged in the chat. I greatly appreciate everybody being here this evening. It's just some of those myths. And if you think about, some of the myths that you have with your job right now currently, and some of the stuff that we've talked about, let's debunk some of these myths. Let's make sure that we're not falling into, these myths that are here and that we've discussed. We want to make sure that we're enhancing the culture overall, you know, uplifting our workforce so that way they can be successful, knowing that they are our most valuable assets. And again, if you don't know that by now, I'm telling you, your workforce, the people that are doing the job, that are out there on the front line, that are grinding, they are your most valuable assets. Okay. Take care of your workforce. Use some emotional intelligence. Be empathetic. Because again, if you were on the other side, right, with that shovel in your hand, getting dirty, would you want a little empathy if you had shit going on? Right. And again, construction workers, they don't do a lot of complaining when they're going to get stuff done. And I say that not for all construction sites. The ones that I have been on, I've seen both sides of the spectrum. But again, you have to make sure you take care of your workforce. So, yeah. So it's 15 till the hour. We've been going strong. I usually keep these about 30 minutes, but we got into some good, deep conversation, about myths inside the safety world and in any industry for that matter. So I greatly appreciate everybody that was tuning in on the radio station. Hope y'all enjoyed. Everybody that was tuning in here. Oh, I got some more questions. Tony Taylor killing it, bro. Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Mallory, has anyone worked for a company that divides their crews into teams for healthy competition? No safety mishaps, job completion, healthy goals. How did it go? Did it stay healthy? Yes, I have had that, and it has worked for a little bit. It's definitely one of those one that promotes good fellowship amongst the teams. But then when the same team keeps winning, they keep getting and hitting their goals. It doesn't bode well for some of the other teams. So I seen, again, both sides of that to where it's beneficial in the beginning. Oh yeah, it's competitive. I'm gonna beat you. You're gonna beat me. Hee hee ha ha. And then next thing you know, it's like, oh, I don't like that person because they always are, winning. I'm not gonna try anymore. I don't care about these competitions, and then it ends up being bad. So, good question, Mallory. I greatly appreciate that. So, with that being said, greatly appreciate everybody that's been in the chat, everybody that's been here. We are fixing to sign off. So, go check out the latest episode on the X Factor Safety podcast. You can also hit me up over on the website, thexfactorsafety.com. You can also find me on all social media platforms, the X Factor Safety, except for Twitter. That one's unique. It's safetyx_factor. So until next time, we might have something the latter half of the week, maybe. Don't know, but working on some stuff here in the pipeline. So I hope everybody has an amazing week. I hope everybody has a great rest of the evening. So remember, ask yourself that one question. What is your X factor? Till next time, we'll see you